Hello, my name is Megan Morris, and I'm going to talk to you about my COVID-19 analysis project. Although COVID is a global pandemic, this project I focus mainly on the United States. And to get to my pitch idea, I was thinking that on the news, I was hearing that states like New York, California, Florida, and Washington were those that were hit the hardest with the amount of cases they had. So I thought those states were all located on the coasts or on the perimeter of the country, so I thought it'd be interesting to use my pitch idea based off of the information I heard on the news and base my project off of are the states that are located on the perimeter or on either coasts of the United States hit harder than the states that are located within the middle of the country, and then kind of use that information to look at the rates for the confirmed cases and the deaths to see if they're increasing at a steady rate. So here's the questions that I came up with after I did a little research and came up with my pitch idea that helped lead me to really see if my hypothesis was accurate. So my first question is, when looking at the United States, are the states located on the coasts impacted more than the states in the middle of the country? Which then led me to my next question. Within the United States, what are the top 10 states with the highest amount of confirmed cases? And then that led me to my last question, which was, has the amount of total positive cases and deaths of COVID-19 increased at a steady rate within the United States? So let's take a look at the map I created to go along with my first question. So here we can see a map of the United States, and I wanted to use a color map so I could show myself and you guys that those in lighter purple colors like these here are states that have less cases, and those with darker purple colors like these that I'm putting my mouse over here are all states that have a higher amount of cases when comparing them to all of the states within the United States. So when I looked at this map, I was able to realize and show myself that I was in fact correct, that the states located on the outside or the perimeter of America all have darker purple shades, and the states within the middle here are all lighter color. And in a New York Times article, I read that a lot of the early confirmed cases were due to travel. So that got me thinking that, of course, the states that are located on the coast or on the perimeter are going to be hit harder with more amount of cases because due to travel, people from foreign countries and people within the United States flying to foreign countries are using airports that are located on the coast as connecting flights before they enter or leave the country. So that makes sense to me as to why the states located on the perimeter or the coasts of America were hit harder with the amount of cases than those in the middle. So now we'll go to the next graph I made, which kind of sparked my thought process after creating the map, so I could see what the top 10 states within the United States are that have the most amount of cases. This graph goes along with my second question of what are the top 10 states with the highest confirmed amount of cases within the United States. So as you can see here, we have California, Florida, Illinois, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and Texas. So this tells me, again, that all those states except for Illinois are all located on the perimeter or coasts of the United States. So again, that's reassuring my first pitch question of, are the states location-wise, perimeter or on the coast, hit harder than those in the middle? So here, when I click on New York, you see only this bar section lights up because that's the color for New York, and you can see that they have, in fact, the most cases out of all the states within the top 10. And I did it for a time period from January through April 30th, but as you can see here, COVID hadn't really reached the United States yet until about March, when things really started to hit hard. So now we'll go to this chart, which was my transition chart from my second question to my third question. And here I kind of just wanted to see of those top 10 states with the highest amount of cases, what was it like comparing the confirmed cases to the death rates? And as you can see, obviously the states that have the highest amount of confirmed cases, like New York, are going to have the highest amount of death rates also. And I did this also by month, so here's April's. And then in March, again, you can see that there's a much lower amount of confirmed cases and death rates. So you can see that it was really March and April that really picked up the amount of COVID confirmed cases and deaths within the United States. So then from this graph, or chart created in Tableau, I came up with the last question, which interested me because I saw this graph and I wanted to see what the actual rate was when looking at confirmed cases and the death rate. Was it steady? Was it fluctuating? So this is the graphs I created. The first graph here goes along with the confirmed cases. So I created an area chart along with a line chart that shows the difference of rates between each week. So here you can see that on April 30th, we had the highest amount of confirmed rates of 1,063,185 amount of confirmed cases. And when looking at the area chart, you just would think that it was increasing at a steady rate. But when I added the differential chart from each day, you can see that although it was increasing from mid-March until about April 15th at a pretty steady upward slope, there were still fluctuations in day to day and week to week, with some decreasing a little bit and then spiking back up. So it wasn't necessarily just a steady, flat increase. Then once you get to April 4th and the next week of April 9th and the 14th, you see it going up and down a little bit more here. And to me, that kind of shows that around this time is when in America we really started to put social distance into place and precautions were taken and safety measures were taken, and I think that's when we started to see the amount of confirmed cases really flattening out or reaching its peak, which would be a reason as to why it starts really fluctuating, because on a day-to-day basis you could have an increase in one state with a bunch, but another state had a major decrease. So that in general, all the states within America as a country, it's going to be fluctuating. So then after I created the confirmed cases chart, I went ahead and created a death chart for America, and this shows the rate again like it showed on the confirmed cases. So here we can see, again, once it became known that it was in the United States or in March, we see a pretty steady incline until about April 5th of deaths occurring within the United States, and that seems pretty sensible to me, because with the fast increase in the amount of confirmed cases, there's going to be a fast increase with the amount of confirmed deaths. So then on April 2nd, we see a little bit of a decline, but then it shoots right back up again in the amount of rates a few days later on April 7th. And then after April 7th, we start to really see it fluctuating up and down, which again is about the time when we started seeing social distancing and there was more precautions put into place, and I think hospitals were more prepared to handle the patients and the situations that were thrown at them with more protective equipment and more knowledge. So I think that makes sense to why the rate would start to fluctuate up and down and not be as steady anymore. And you can kind of see here that it is starting to fluctuate more even though it's still increasing and it's still higher, you can kind of see that the fluctuation is starting to have more steeper decreases here than it was in the beginning. So that's a really good sign, and it's hope for our country that we're handling this and things are going to get back to normal hopefully soon. So in conclusion, from doing this Tableau and COVID-19 analysis and project, I was able to realize and confirm that my hypothesis was accurate, that those states located on the perimeter or on either the west coast or east coast of the United States were hit harder with the amount of cases they have than those states in the middle, because of course it makes sense that something on the outside working its way towards the middle, it takes a longer amount of time to get to the middle, and from there created the questions of the top 10, and that just helped reassure that those top 10 states within America are all but 9 were located, or 9, all but 1, so 9 of them were located on the perimeter of, or the coast of America, so that helped reaffirm my first question. Then looking at the death rates, it showed me that it was increasing at a pretty constant, steady rate at the beginning, but then once we started taking precautions and using social distancing, we started to see major fluctuations both within the confirmed cases and the death rates within America. So here are the references I used. I used the the COVID-19 starter workbook from Johns Hopkins University, and then I looked at a Washington Post article and a New York Times article to gather more information to help me write my pitch paper and kind of give me background information. And then I also looked at the WHO coronavirus disease dashboard, which helped spark my idea and thought process into making some of my graphs, specifically the top 10 states with the most cases graph with the showing the different level of cases in different colors. That was sparked my interest from a WHO chart that was created on their dashboard as well. So I hope this was interesting to you and you were able to gather some new ways of thinking about this virus, and you'll maybe want to look at if the location of the actual state has anything to do with why maybe they have more cases than those, maybe those on the east and west coast have more cases than those in the middle. So thanks for watching.